Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Edric Show. I am your host, Edric Jerome. This is the place for intelligent conversation with interesting people. Go ahead, hit that like button, ring that notification bell, go ahead and subscribe, and you'll get notified when I post content each and every week. I have a wonderful set of guests today. My guests are Courtney Gabrielle Williams and Lamont Thompson, who are starring in the Lorraine Hansberry Theater's production of Sunset Baby. The critically acclaimed play, written by Dominique Morisseau and directed by the incomparable Margo Hall, is a powerful and relevant play that explores the fraught reunion between a former Black revolutionary and his estranged daughter. Sunset Baby will run at the Magic Theater at Fort Mason in San Francisco from September 11th through September 28th. Courtney, Lamont, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you, Edgar. Good to be with you, brother.
All right, let's get into it. Dominique Morisseau is known for her provocative and deeply personal explorations of history. Um, what have you learned from her powerful script, and how has that prepared you for the roles of Nina and Kenyatta?
Mm.
Ladies first.
Um, what have I learned from Dominique's writing? Just the complexities of her characters, I think, or not just, but one thing that definitely stands out is the complexities of her characters. Especially with this play, you might be siding with one character or at different times, but everyone has an honest argument. Everyone's life comes from a real place. So they don't feel like fabricated characters, which can be fun in a play. These feel like very real people. So I feel like she gives you a window into people's lives in a really special way.
Hmm. I think for me, the thing I love about her work, and I'll say I've seen one of her plays in person, which is Pipeline,
Mm,
which is a wonderful piece. Uh, she's really fearless about her subject matter, which is what I appreciate about her. Um, Especially in today's world, she's not trying to do anything safe. She's not trying to comfort anyone. She's trying to explore some really, really charged things. And in doing so, the thing with Kenyatta is, for me as an actor, I'm always asking, what is this character's truth? What truth drives them? What are they trying to accomplish? And the two-edged sword of this guy being a revolutionary, panther, whatever you want to call him, and a father, and wrestling with those two things is really powerful to me and really moving to me. I was explaining to Dominique and the other cast member and the director, Margo, I was born in the Bay Area in the birthplace of the Black Power movement, but raised in Atlanta in the birthplace of the Civil Rights movement, and getting an idea of how both of those things are different and
Mhm.
how accepted one movement is and how misunderstood another movement is. And to be able to take that idea and explore it through family, you don't see that very often.
mm.
Courtney, your character Nina is a survivor who has to confront her father's past and her mother's legacy. How did you get into the mindset of this character who is simultaneously the product of her parents' revolutionary ideas and someone who kind of rejects their choices?
Mm. Well, first, I give all praise and all shout outs to Margot because I personally wouldn't be able to do this role without her. Um, and she's like the perfect director to help guide. And she's such an actor's director, so she's so supportive for us throughout this process and exploring our characters. Um, but for me as a performer in general, this also kind of has a different approach for me with this character. But at least at the base, I start with the language. I start with what's said, what my character says about themselves, what other folks say about my character. Um, and leaning on to also what Dominique mentions at the top of the play, before the text even starts, talking about what slashes and ellipses mean in the script and talking about the impact of the activist revolutionary movement and Tupac. So, I'm still always listening to interviews and listening to his music to just surround my mind with that world. So yeah, just spending a lot of time with my script, reading, repeating, even the accent is feeding into who Nina is a lot as a New Yorker. So just yeah, really depending on the text as like the Bible and exploring that in my body as well.
And similar question for you, Lamont. Kenyatta is a man dedicated his life to a cause, but in doing so, he became an absent father. So, how did you find the balance between portraying his strong, disciplined idealism with the sacrifice and personal toll it took on his family?
The hardest part about fatherhood for someone who's not a father, but looking at it through the lens of having a father and having fathers in my life. And also, like I said, being raised in and around civil rights leaders my entire life. When you have a man who wants to change the world for his child, but doesn't realize that to your child, you are their work.
Mm.
You get what I'm saying there?
Hmm.
And that gets lost, you know, in the world of intention and what you're really trying to do. And it's a noble pursuit to want to change the world for your child, but realizing that all your child needs is for you to be there,
Mm.
because a child's world is really small. And we as adults forget that. Once we become adults, we totally forget how small a child's world is. And all you need to do is just be there. They want to walk on the beach. They want to go to the park. They want to eat hot dogs. They want to do all of that. They don't care what's going on politically. They don't care that the world is burning down. They don't understand that. And that's the beautiful thing about this play, is that creates the I it's a bad word to use, but I'm going to use it anyway. The myopia, the myopic vision that both of them are entrenched in when they're doing that. And that's what the wall is him not understanding that and knowing he did the best he could. He wanted her to have the work by changing it.
Mhm.
So that's what I had to sort of wrestle with, as what his truth is, and to try to wrestle with that, because as an artist, you focus on the truth, you wrestle with the truth, so you can tell the truth.
Mhm.
The play also touches on the generational divide in activism. We were kind of talking a little bit before we came on, Lamont, about this very issue. But how do you guys explore that conflict, that generational divide in the play? And how do you, I guess, bring your own personal generational perspectives to this performance?
Mm. I'm marinating on it if you want to go, Lamont.
Okay. Um, it's personally, it's pretty easy for me to gauge, because I'm a very politically active, socially activist kind of guy. I'm always involved. I sort of I read the books. I'm online. I'm watching all of this stuff. I'm watching the world burn right now, um, and wrestling with how I feel about that. And I've always been a militant cat. That's why I don't live in the South now. I can't. Um, I can't do respectability politics. I can't go along to get along. I can't do any of that. So in that sense, I understand Kenyatta very well. Um, and also being someone that young people, especially young artists, look up to at times. I'm always kind of shocked when it happens, but it does. When they come to me with questions, come to me with how I've dealt with things, come to me with what's going on in the world. Um, I do notice a difference. I do notice a difference with how they attack things. And it goes back to the conversation, Edric, you and I were having before we started, where I can't even imagine being 20 and becoming socially aware right now. I can't even imagine that, because of everything that's coming at you, and all the things you have to navigate. So it's about stepping back and realizing what these young people are up against, and at the same time reminding them, sometimes you have to do it very tactfully, why they're able to enjoy the freedoms they enjoy and not to take those for granted. That there are folks 6 feet under for you. You know, there's a line Kenyatta has, I will die for you. But, you know, it's also about who you're going to live for.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's not about just dying for people, who you're going to live for as well. Because that's the problem that Nina has with him. You didn't live for me. You know? And that's where the generational gap is, I think, is when I hear this statement, we are not our ancestors. Nothing drives me more crazy than hearing that. Because I get the sentiment, but it's a stupid thing to say. It's a really stupid, short-sighted thing to say. Because in some ways, from what I see of young folks, could you handle 5 minutes of the year 1965 and understand the strength that it took to get through that? The bus boycott was a long time. The Target boycott is cool, but how much does that really hurt you?
Right.
How much are you really sacrificing for that? But you got to have that in that balance of, okay, you're fighting a different fight, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
The young folks are fighting a different kind of fight, a different kind of way. And they got to find their way.
Yeah.
But sometimes you got to get out of the way and let them find their way, but be a resource, be a vessel.
Courtney?
Edric, sorry, can you give me the question again?
Sure, sure. So there's a generational divide. The play touches on the generational divide in activism. And so for you, how do you bring your own generational perspective as a young person to your performance? Because, like Lamont was saying, younger people may not see things as the same as folks who are, more mature. So when you're in the role, how are you bringing your own personal generational perspectives to this piece?
Okay, thank you. I feel personally like I bring similar to Lamont, I am aware of everything that's going on and am active in the world that we're living in. So it's actually really interesting to play Nina, where to me at least where I am in the process now, her I don't even want to say her broken heart, but her need more for that relationship, for that um normalcy in her life is to me bigger than the movement that it's bigger than any argument that he could ever have. Um, the other actor Titus, who plays Damon, has some interesting arguments. I feel in a scene that um, Kenyatta and Damon have together in regards to activism and what that looks like. But I feel like for Nina, and we're still very much in process, so
Sure.
we'll see how things hit, still in the room hearing the text. But a lot of it feels like it's not big enough for her to turn to his side. And for me as a performer, that's just an interesting place to be in, that her heart desire is so much bigger than what she would want to see in the world. And it's still an activism. It's just a different form of, being there for your family. And yeah, it's a interesting conflict that she has.
Let me shift now and ask you guys about what it's like working with the acclaimed theater company, the Lorraine Hansberry Theater, and Margo Hall. And shout out to Margo Hall. She's been on this show a couple times. She's a friend of the show. Just a powerful creative force in terms of being an artistic director and just what she brings to every production there. And Lamont, I believe you're making your debut with Lorraine Hansberry. So tell me just what it's like working with this historic and very, very important theater group.
It's super fun. It's for me, it's a full circle moment. So when I want to say 8 years old, my grandmother was on the board of the Lorraine Hansberry Theater when they used to do the children's summer program. I think it was their first year, and I think they were deciding the age minimum, and she had me in mind, and so I did their summer camp all throughout for that summer. I think the next 2 years as well. So this feels like coming home in a special
Hmm.
way. Working with Margo and working with everyone who is a part of the production also feels like home because I think she really fosters an environment of support and truth and uh, bravery. She says a lot in the room to be brave. Um, so I feel like that's what Lorraine Hansberry encompasses is that truth, that courage, that bravery, um, and a space to just play. It's a nice intimate theater to get to explore and really dive into text. So it's really special to be working here right now.
I would say for me, it's a full circle moment in two ways. One, I met Margo in 2000, I want to say 17. We were doing a play at Cal Shakes. Um, that's where I met her and was just blown away by her talent. And now I get to work with her as a director. So there's that. And then my first gig as an actor 30 years ago was with a Black company in Atlanta called Joe Mundi. They are defunct. Um, and now here I am working with a Black company. And I'm always honored and it's always special when I get to work with us, in a space that is us, for us, by us, telling our stories unapologetically and truthfully and bravely. And that's what it means to work at the Lorraine Hansberry. I mean, I've understudied Raisin in the Sun, as Walter Lee. So there's that kind of full circle moment as well. Always been a fan of Lorraine Hansberry's work, who was not. Um, but for this theater to exist in this environment, in this time,
Mhm.
and still be hanging on when we are under direct assault by forces that don't want the Lorraine Hansberry to exist, would erase her if they could. And to be able to tell stories like this in her name, in a space blessed by her name,
Hmm.
next to the John Coltrane Church, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that means a
Exactly.
lot. that means a lot. And to be able to come home in a sense to do it in the Bay Area, it's really an emotional point for me.
We have a couple minutes left, so let me ask both of you now. What do you hope audiences take away from the production of Sunset Baby?
All I ask an audience to do, and I say the same thing whether I'm doing something like this, Shakespeare, it doesn't matter. August Wilson, come with your heart open and receive what we're trying to feed you. Turn around and go feed others. That's all I ask. That's all I can hope for. And to layer on top of that, if you can appreciate who Kenyatta is, what he represents, how misunderstood he and men like him and women like him were and still are, and understand what they tried to do, gave their lives to do, literally, some of them. Um, Hopefully, they will go research and try to find out more about men and women like Kenyatta. Hopefully, they will go out and think about their children, their relatives, and realize what community is about and how we need to get back to that. I know the course of human events never runs backwards, but
Right.
we need community like no other time in our nation's history. We need community because of what is on the horizon, and understanding that's the only way we're going to make it through
Hmm.
is through community, and establishing what that means and holding on to that because it is under direct assault. And hopefully, this will light a fire and ignite some kind of conversation and action in folks because Kenyatta's a man of action.
Hmm.
And so is his daughter. a different kind of action. So is Damon, different kind of action. But hopefully they will see themselves represented in some kind of way, understand what we're speaking to in some kind of way and how that speaks to them. Because ultimately, that's what art is. You're confronted by the truth. Art is a repository for the truth. And when you're faced with that, and does it speak to your truth? And do you have the bravery then to turn around and tell that truth to who needs to hear it? Because right now we're in a perilous time where it used to be about speaking truth to power. Now power is speaking to truth. You know, power is being spoken to truth now.
Hmm.
And it's not too late, but we got to realize that that's what's going on. And hopefully this helps people understand that.
Mhm.
Anything to add to that, Courtney?
I mean, I feel like I shouldn't because that was some heat. But the one thing I will say is when I and I hope this with a lot of theater that when people see it, they don't feel like they're watching something and not for the sake of how amazing the performers are. I hope that people get lost in the world and can really see those people as real people. And similar to Lamont, that they come with their hearts open and that they leave shifted, that it's not just a night of entertainment, that it's not a night of seeing people in a world that you're not in, but really opening your heart to the lives of other people and how that is still in relationship to your life, whether you know some of these people or not. Yeah.
Well, I do want to thank you guys for coming on the Edric Show. Let me give the details. So, the play is titled Sunset Baby, is starring Courtney Gabrielle Williams and Lamont Thompson, who were gracious enough to come on the show today. I really appreciate it. It will run from September 11th through September 28th at the Magic Theater at Fort Mason Center in San Francisco. For details and ticket information, you can go to the Lorraine Hansberry Theater's website. I'll have it on crawl, lhtsf.org. That's www.lhtsf.org. I know you guys are in the middle of getting ready, and a lot of your time is taken for, so I don't want to take up too much more of your time. But thank you so much for coming on the Edric Show. I really appreciate the time you spent with me today.
Thank you, Edric, and thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. This has been another edition of the Edric Show. As promised, intelligent conversation with interesting people. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. You'll get notified when I post content each and every week. I want to thank you for tuning in, and I will catch you on the next episode.